Michael Flynn's ex-business partner points the finger at him in court. If there is a question of who worked on behalf of the Turkish government to influence the 2016 Donald Trump campaign, then the court should look no further than former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, lawyers for Bijan Kian, the Iranian-American businessman and former Flynn partner, told jurors in the Eastern District of Virginia Monday. Kian is charged with illegally lobbying on behalf of the Turkish government and conspiring covertly to influence U.S. politics about Fethullah Gulen, a Turkish cleric who is now living in Pennsylvania. He faces a max, but Kian's team of attorneys said in their opening statements Monday that their client did not conspire with anyone to work on behalf of the Turkish government in the U.S. When questioning the Turkish government's influence operations in the U.S., the jury should look at the newly announced the government has on Flynn, said attorney Bob Trout. Kian isn't referenced in the opening statements Monday. The Kian legal team spent the majority of their time arguing that their client did not work on behalf of the Turkish government when he attempted to influence public opinion in the U.S. about Turkish cleric Fethullah Gulen. Gulen currently, toward the end of his statements, Trout tried to create a degree of separation between Kian and Flynn, who is currently awaiting sentencing in Washington for crimes carried out during his time working with the Trump team. He pointed to according to a government indictment filed last year, Flynn and Kian worked together throughout the fall of 2016, when Flynn was an advisor to then-candidate Trump, on a project to try and extradite Gulen back to Turkey. Prosecutors said Flynn was also at the time accused of lying about his communications with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. He entered into as part of his deal with the government. Flynn was supposed to testify against Kian, and his sentencing in Washington was postponed so he could appear as a witness in Virginia. That all changed last week when the government removed Flynn from the witness list and instead named him as a co-conspirator in the case. The government also, it's that evidence that lies at the heart of who really committed the crime of illegally lobbying for Turkey, Kian's lawyers said Monday. Kian didn't know of. For its part, the government in its opening statement barely mentioned the former national security advisor, instead referring several times to Kian's business team members as associates. The government focused, after nearly an hour and a half of opening statements, both of which were at times tangled and difficult to follow. The jury seemed to fade by 5:30 p.m. Several individuals they're due back in court Tuesday morning for testimony, including evidence to be entered into the record and for witness examinations.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.